I think you have to give up completely, like lose everything, lose faith, lose everything.
Yogis, we are back for Dharma Talk episode 002. And on today's episode, we have as our guest none other than Rose Erin Vaughan, a veteran yoga teacher here in New York City. And she also is an expert in quite a number of different healing modalities. I'm not going to list them all off right now because we do that at the beginning of the interview, but I will say that the knowledge that she's gained from all of these different practices that she incorporates into her teaching and her therapy has given her a really unique perspective. And we get into that in the interview. We talk about how two major institutions are taking power away from us at an individual level and what we can do to bring it back. We also talk about what it means to practice yoga 24/7, every minute of every day, and the difference between personal goals and a true Dharma. And then we talk about, as that opening clip might have suggested, what it means and why it's important to give up everything that you have to find your place in this life. So we're going to get into the interview, but first, just a few announcements. If you're in the New York area and you're listening to this podcast episode not long after it comes out, then it's not too late for you to sign up for my upcoming workshop at Lighthouse Yoga School in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. On March 24th, that's a Saturday, I'm teaching a workshop called Uddiyana Secrets, Lock in Your Power. And it's going to be all about how to use Uddiyana Bandha and Uddiyana Kriya to create lightness in your body and stability in your poses. And also how to feel more connected to your sense of self so that you don't have any self-doubt and you can be unapologetically you. Get the information there and sign up at henrywins.com/events. California yogis, I'm coming your way. On April 22nd, my wife Veronica Lambo and I will be teaching a joint workshop at Raw Yoga, the Costa Mesa location, and it's called Scorpion Hour, Invert Your Backbend. The scorpions are my absolute favorite family of poses because they combine all the therapeutic benefit of backbending with inversions. So this is going to be a very fun workshop. You don't need to be a pro. You don't need to already have a handstand or anything like that. Come check it out. The event details are at henrywins.com/events. What's your purpose? What's your vision? What mark will you leave on this planet long after you're gone? I'm Henry Winslow, and you're listening to Dharma Talk, the only podcast where I interview inspirational yogis on how they're changing the world in their own unique ways. Whether you're still searching for your purpose or already walking the path, I hope these stories get you excited to live your Dharma. Hello, yogis, listeners, Dharma talkers, whatever we're calling you these days. Welcome back to one of our very first episodes of Dharma Talk. Today, I'm very excited to have a special guest to share today. Her name is Rose Erin Vaughan, and Rose Erin is the founder and co-lead of the Science of Self yoga trainings in NYC. She's led workshops on yoga and meridians worldwide, including Asia. She's the author of 2 books on this subject, a licensed acupuncturist and a trigger point therapist, yoga teacher, and anatomy specialist. Her extensive training in a variety of modalities, techniques, sciences, and philosophies has helped her to establish a contemporary and unique approach to heal people on an individual basis worldwide. All right, Rose Erin, how are you? Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Awesome. Well, I want to jump right into the questions here, and we're going to ask every guest on this show some of these very same questions. And although everyone that joins the show is going to be a yogi, whether a yoga teacher or yoga practitioner, everybody has their own place and their own understanding of how that practice is supporting them. So I'll start with my first question, which is, what does the word Dharma mean to you? And what is your Dharma as you understand it today?
Well, Dharma is something like the purpose of everything you're doing. So I think in yoga, you kind of find out, I mean, a lot of people think they have a goal like they want to get a certain thing, but it's very short-sighted in some cases. They have this goal of achieving something. We all have goals like that. But then in Dharma, with Dharma is kind of like having a goal in what you're doing, but it's this really grand, more grand sense, I think, of connection to purpose, which isn't really a personal goal. So it's how you fit into the big picture, really practically how you can be of service to others. I think that but still being who you really are, and then using that to serve others in the most profound and efficient way also.
Yeah, that's an interesting interesting contrast that you bring up between the short term and long term. Do you think that's a common problem, that people are so consumed with their short term goals that they lose sight of the long term mission?
Definitely. I mean, daily, moment to moment, we have to keep reminding ourselves of the real purpose. And I think, um, even in yoga, you practice yoga, but why are you even practicing yoga? So I think that is the key to it, is connecting to a sense of Dharma, is just reminding yourself why you're really doing this. Things like, okay, I'm going to lose everything. I'm definitely not here to accumulate possessions and wealth. That's easy because I'm going to lose all of that. So what are you here for? If it seems like sometimes it seems like you're working so you can make money, so you can pay your rent and stuff. But then there's like, yeah, you have to do that. But why do you have to pay your rent? Why do you have to take care of yourself and make sure you have the ability to rest and return to your real purpose every day. That's why.
Yeah, right. So you have to address your needs for yourself first, but really those are just prerequisites so that you're better set up to face your true dharma. So
Yeah,
so let me ask you this.
Mhm.
What do you believe your dharma is today? And I understand that's an evolving understanding over time, but if you had to lay it on the line today, what would you say it is?
Well, I mean, it's been a real struggle, but I think that it has something to do with um, health, in serving others in that way, and teaching about the physical anatomy in such a way that it's not terrifying, um, and in a way that people are empowered to heal themselves through yoga. And self-realization is a way to heal yourself, really, and also through acupressure and yoga asana and pranayama. So I think that my something about really handing people the power of um, healing themselves. It's like medicine and religion smashed into one thing.
And that's where the
That,
power comes from.
that's yoga. That's
That's
where the power has been taken away. In my opinion, our power has been taken away most intensely at this point through medicine, by giving the power to some machine technology and machines and pharmaceuticals that we cannot compete with. And it's been taken away from us for even longer in the realm of religion.
so your
So
dharma is to bring it back, or to teach us how to at an individual level.
in a small way.
Yeah. Okay, so what does your personal yoga practice look like? And how would you say that it supported you on your path to discovering your dharma?
My daily practice, um that I mean the main part of the practice I think has to be 24/7. So mantra helps a lot with that. I do asana every day. I do pranayama every day, and meditation, and like seated meditation. But then really your practice has to extend through every minute of every day. Then mantra, and just even if you don't have a mantra, just a constant remembrance of your purpose, your dharma, and what you're here to do, which is to serve.
Mm-hmm. And for maybe the uninitiated who could be listening, what does a mantra practice look like?
Well, there's different ways to do mantra. So if you have a mantra, hopefully you can get a mantra from a teacher, because then you just feel really much more powerful in doing it. And so it could be really short, like one syllable. Like my first mantra was one syllable, Ram, Ram, Ram. And then you just say it. You can get the beads, 108 beads, and use the bead mala to count the mantras, or you can do it without the bead. And you just repeat it. It's really easy. But then it becomes something that you can repeat throughout the day, not in a way that it distracts you, but in a way that it reminds you of the purpose.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just add on to that I found mantra to be very powerful in sort of reprogramming the monkey mind. If your thoughts are going to go trickling back to the same patterns over and over again, you might as well make it something productive, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly.
Okay, so Rose Erin, why don't you take us back to a specific moment in your personal history where you really clicked on your Dharma, when maybe there was something that happened that made you realize that the power's been taken away and that it's part of your purpose on this earth to show people that it needs to come back.
I've been mad about that for a long time. My father is still a doctor, and he's a really good person, and he's a good doctor, but I sort of grew up listening to him every night. Every night at dinner we listened to these lectures or him talking about how people, he treats pain. And he would talk about how people want to get better, like they just want a pill. And he would talk about how the people who would get better were the ones who would keep moving and exercising. So I sort of had that seed planted in my mind a long time ago, even though his main tool is prescription medications. But he really believes deeply in the power of movement and positive thinking and healing things like chronic pain.
And has he been able to kind of infuse that into his more traditional Western medicine practice?
I think he worked in some research projects where they explored that, and I know that he teaches that to his patients. But I find it very frustrating, even with his kind of progressive outlook at the time, that they still have a very limited view of healing, and they don't look at diet, and there's so many limits to Western medicine because of scientific method. They cannot allow anything to be true unless it has been proven in this very kind of dumb way, really. I mean, the scientific method is really powerful because it allowed us to make a lot of progress, but it's also very dumb because there's so many things that we know that we haven't proven, but we know.
Well, it's also just very slow moving.
It's very slow. It's holding us back at this point.
It's very slow moving because in order to test anything, you have to keep all the other variables constant, right? So that means every single thing needs its own officially powered study, and we don't have time for that.
And also and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm sorry, but a lot of science is biased by who's funding it.
Of course.
Because I started off being a scientist and quit because I just realized that I didn't want to spend my life trying to get funding money from people so I could prove something that they think is true. Mm-hmm. That's how it works.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of money that goes into these studies because they cost a lot of money to operate. So the person who's funding it or the organization that's funding it has to believe that they're going to get a return on that investment.
Exactly.
Of course, there are exceptions to that with nonprofits funding research and all of that, but there's a lot of money from the industry is backing this stuff. So.
Right. And the power that we have and the truth that we have to heal doesn't come from that. It doesn't come from science. It comes from inside our own hearts. The desire to heal and the power to heal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what we have to learn, practice, and perfect is that. And that's where where medicine and religion start to merge together. So it's interesting territory for somebody. I mean, I'm coming from a scientific background, but I think it's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like this may have been, a moment in your time living your Dharma or starting to figure out your Dharma that you started from a different angle with the Western science. You you studied biology and got a Bachelor of Science in that. Mm-hmm. Take us to a moment where you kind of hit a wall and you realize this isn't working. I'm not making the impact that I'm able to, or there are external resistances that are keeping me from doing this. And then what did you do to get through it?
Well, I feel like I hit walls all the time. I mean, I hit so many walls. But you know what? I think it's like in yoga, that's the point, is you hit all the walls and you quit. You have to give up completely on what you thought you were going to do, on all of your goals. And that's what happened to me. And, because you're like, well, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to teach people about blah, blah, blah. And I believe this. And then I don't know about everyone else, but my life was like, no, you're not. Like, get down on the ground and surrender everything. Like, just quit, just give up. I mean, I gave up. I think you have to give up completely, like lose everything, lose faith, lose everything. And I remember that. I will never forget a moment. I think it was like the time where I was like, I mean, I'm not the kind of person that would kill myself, but I was kind of just like, all right, God or whatever, just like, I'm done. Can I just die now? Because none of this is not working out. Like, none of the stuff that I think that I'm supposed to do is working.
And when was that? What led up to that moment of complete surrender?
Well, I was in North Carolina for a long time, and I had already quit graduate school, and then I went to massage school, and then I went to yoga training, and I was teaching yoga and working at this hospital doing massage, blah, blah, blah. And I was married, and I got divorced, and then I met Bhagavan Das, who was like my real first guru. And he was like, come to New York. You have to come to New York. Sell all your possessions. And I'm going to teach you Tantra. I'm going to teach you real Tantra and real yoga. I was like, hell yeah. I'm sold all my stuff. I got rid of everything, which gave me a little bit of money to play with, but not very much. And then I came to New York, and then I spent a lot of time with him. And then I kind of ran out of money. At one point, I had like $50 and nowhere to live and no job. But I didn't want to leave New York. And it was right around that time when that moment happened. And then I remember I was laying on the floor, and I'd been doing Ashtanga for like 5 years or something. I was like, I hate Ashtanga. I don't even want to do Ashtanga. I hate yoga. I hate everything. And I had built my house into this Kali temple also. So I had this huge Kali in there and like a Shiva, and I'm just laying on the floor all by myself crying. And then I felt this thing like take over me. And I realized it was like I could see myself laying on the floor being pathetic and saying like, oh, I want to help people. And then this thing came into me like, just get up. Go make your money. Go make some money. Get your shit together. Like, be an animal. Just be your animal. Get your shit together, and then forget all that stuff. Just keep going. just live. But the Dharma doesn't go away. You know, does that make any sense?
Yeah, that's a powerful experience. I mean, what I'm taking away from that story is that if you're out there waiting for someone to save you, it's never going to happen. You have to be responsible for your own growth and for picking yourself back up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I like what you said. You said find the animal. I think a lot of people, especially in the yoga community, are so concerned with elevating themselves and getting higher and higher up. And they're taking themselves up into the meditation. But sometimes it just turns into an escape. But you have to come back down to your most base level to face the reality of what it's like to be in the middle of a challenge here on Earth.
And how do you help people? You have to be able to run a business. You know this, Henry. You have to be able to make money. If you want to help people, how are you going to help people if you can't even pay your own rent?
Yeah.
You have to be organized. You have to be able to do spreadsheets, taxes.
All that non-yogic stuff.
I know, but it's in the service. Ultimately, it's in the service. It can be in the service of others.
Yeah.
And then when you have all of that, you have a lot of power to really help people.
Yeah, you do. And I like to think that money is just it's just an exchange of value that gives you more power to make whatever sort of impact you want to make, whether that's good or bad. It just gives you the resources to do that. Yeah. Money itself is not evil, even though it sometimes gets a bad rap because it turns people's intentions. But if you have good intentions, then you can use your money to make a really positive impact in this world. Okay, so let's do one last story, Rose Erin. Can you take us to a moment in time where you really felt reaffirmed in your conviction and yourself and the impact you're making with your Dharma because of a major win you had or some recognition that you got? What happened, and then what did you do with that success to carry it forward?
Yeah, I mean, the major win is just every time I see somebody change and be happier. And I mean, it's sometimes stuff that nobody would ever notice. Nobody else, maybe. Just, it's like when you have a vision of how somebody can bloom, you know, and sometimes it takes years of patience to see somebody through. And then if you have that, that's the kind of faith you have to have and patience. And then when it comes through, wow, that's the payoff. When you see somebody and you think, maybe I played a part in that, you know, that's how I win. That's what I get out of it.
Yeah, that's an awesome feeling. And I haven't been doing the yoga teaching thing for too long. You've been at this longer than I have, so I think you could probably, I mean, this is my hunch, but you can confirm or deny, when those changes take much longer to affect, it's worth that much more to you.
It's amazing. So great. Yeah, that's all I want. I mean, and some chocolate and a bed.
Yeah. A student breakthrough, a chocolate, and some bed.
Yeah.
Okay, so apart from getting your message out on this podcast today, what are you doing specifically today to live your Dharma?
Oh, today? Well, I taught a yoga class this morning, and right after this, I have to go uptown to treat a patient who I've known for, almost 20 years. She's 73 now, I think. So I'm going to her house to treat her ankle with acupuncture. And then I come back here and I see a few more patients. That's what I'm doing today.
You're doing the work. One patient at a time.
And and planning my next teacher training daily calendar is up right now on my computer screen.
And when is that? When's your next teacher training taking place for those of the listeners who may be interested in joining you?
Very soon. They better hurry up. It's March 17 through 28. That's a 12-day intensive.
Okay. Well, depending on when this podcast launches, that may have already passed.
Well,
that gives me a little pressure. It lights a fire under me to get this thing going.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to wrap up with the Prana Round, where I ask you 6 questions. Each of them you answer in very short answers, either a sentence or sometimes even a word. And the idea is just to go rapid fire, and you say the first thing that comes to your mind, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, in one word, why do you practice yoga?
Inevitable.
What's your favorite yoga pose and why?
Bharadvajasana, because it does everything.
Cool. What's the single best cue or piece of advice, even if it's not physical, that you've ever received from a yoga teacher?
Be nice, help people, don't hurt people. That's from Dharma Mitra.
Recommend one book, modern or ancient, for our audience.
That's hard, but I would say The Principal Teachings of Buddhism by J. Tsongkhapa.
And that's, of course, on top of the 2 books that you've written, which are,
Right.
What are the names of those books again?
Right. The Science of Self is one of them, and then The Science of Points and Pathways is the other.
Cool. Yeah, so if you're interested in learning about meridians and all the other areas of expertise that Rose Erin offers, then check those books out. Next question. Is yoga for everyone?
I don't think so. No, because I think you have to lose you lose a lot when you do yoga. So some people should try to achieve their other goals first.
I think that's a very fair warning, and I tend to agree with you on that. Okay. How can our audience get in touch with you, and how can we support you in your Dharma?
Well, I have websites and Instagram and email and phone. You can participate in any of my teaching or my books or my acupuncture.
And
Or
what's
just me.
What's your Instagram handle?
ERIN_body aware.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Rose Erin, that's a wrap for today. I want to thank you so much again for joining me on the show, and especially for, taking the risk and being a part of something that hasn't even gone out into the world yet. So I know that you're not one to shy away from risk, but thank you.
Thank you so much, and good luck with this. It's going to be great.
If you liked this show, if you liked Dharma Talk, please do me a favor and subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or whatever platform you're listening on, because that is the number one factor that determines whether this show gets in front of more people who can benefit from it. So I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's not the most convenient thing to do, but it makes a world of difference. So talk to you next time. Until then, keep living your Dharma.